watching
where we tally up the
Halloween
victims in all our
Kills.
favorite horror movies. I'm James A. Janice, and today we're looking at Halloween Kills, released in 2021. Halloween Kills is the sequel to Halloween 2018 and picks up right where it left off. Like, seriously, right where it left off. Not only on the same night, but mere moments after the Strode women locked Michael Myers inside a burning building. With Halloween 2018 a critical and commercial success, Blumhouse quickly greenlit not just one, but two sequels. Both of them, like 2018, would be directed by David Gordon Green and co-written by Danny McBride. That makes Halloween Kills the middle child in this new trilogy, and consequently, the movie sometimes feels like it's spinning its wheels. The plot and themes are all over the place, the characters are some of the dumbest in horror history, and Laurie Strode is completely wasted. Ultimately, this is a messy movie, but it's a mess that I kind of enjoy. I've watched it several times now, and it never bores me, except for maybe the hospital scenes. Those can be fast forwarded. One thing I can respect is how weird it is. It's Michael Myers. I commend it for taking stylistic swings. I also like how it expands on the town of Haddonfield, bringing back characters and actors from both the 2018 and 1978 films. While Halloween 2018 looked at generational trauma, Halloween Kills is about the effect Michael Myers has on a whole community.
Let's get that bird's eye view of Haddonfield itself. What does Haddonfield look like 40 years after the 1978 murders?
It's nice to acknowledge that other people were affected by Michael's killing spree in 78. I just wish it wasn't handled so clumsily. Hard to take the town seriously when they chant a slogan like they're at a pro wrestling show.
Evil dies tonight!
Evil dies tonight!
All right, evil dies tonight! Evil dies tonight!
Still, it's a fresh take on the Halloween formula, and even if they're making dumb decisions, I like the supporting characters. I laughed a bunch at the comedic acting and line deliveries, and the individual killing vignettes are often well done and super gory. And I mean it on that last point. This is one violent, dark slasher. In fact, looks like I've gotten bloody just talking about this thing. Lucky for me, I have today's sponsor, Dr.
Like I
Squatch,
said,
to help me
no
out.
sport. Back now. It's a good mode. Yeah.
See a
Now.
lot of them. Let's see. The movie begins with a quick checkup on Cameron, Allison's unfaithful Dunaway who got ditched at the dance last movie. He comes across the injured but still living Frank Hawkins, meaning I messed up when I put him on the kill count in Halloween 2018. Well, excuse me! Normally, when someone's stabbed in the neck and run over, it's pretty safe to count him as dead. John Carpenter's classic Halloween theme takes us back to 1978, where Hawkins, then a rookie cop, was getting juked by a fresh-faced Michael Myers. Remember, Halloween 2018 was a direct sequel to the original, meaning the Laurie Michael sibling stuff and everything else in Halloween 2 isn't canon anymore. This flashback fills us in on this timeline's version of events, which were described by Dr. Sartain last movie.
Did you know our friend Hawkins here was the first responding deputy when Michael was apprehended in 1978? He stopped Loomis from killing Michael that night.
Hawkins is joined by his partner McCabe, played by filmmaker Jim Cummings, who wrote, directed, and starred in the solid horror comedy Wolf of Snow Hollow. The two officers make their way to the Myers house, where inside they find the dog carcass that Michael had been nomming on, unless Loomis meant that figuratively.
He got hungry.
I still think Mikey My eats dogs. Upstairs, McCabe takes a breather to stare out Judith Myers' window, something he said Michael used to do as a kid to look out over the town.
Haddonfield, where nothing exciting ever happened.
Mighty Bing McQueen flies at McCabe and slams him repeatedly against the wall. This trilogy's Michael is mostly played by the 65-year-old James Jude Courtney, who, again, is a real nice guy.
That's got it.
Thanks, man.
But for the 1978 sequences, stunt coordinator Aaron Armstrong stepped in to give the role a more youthful mobility. Hawkins hears his partner struggling and tries to assist, but he's no William Tell, so his first shot hits McCabe in the neck. Upset at getting his kill stolen, Michael storms off, leaving Hawkins to comfort McCabe as he succumbs to his injuries. Oof, good luck living with that, dude. Now, even though this is Halloween Kills, it's also Halloween Resurrection, because look at who's back from the dead, motherfuckers!
Officer Hawkins, tell me, what happened? Did Michael kill again?
I initially thought this was a product of deepfake technology, but no, this Loomis is entirely practical. The filmmakers noticed that their construction coordinator, Tom Jones Jr., strongly resembled the late Donald Pleasance.
The second we walked on set, we said this guy looks like Loomis.
His appearance was then augmented by returning special effects makeup maestro Christopher Nelson.
My biggest fear was that once the makeup was on, he would look less like Donald Pleasance than what he did beforehand.
The end result is uncanny, especially with comedian Colin Mahan returning to dub in the character's voice, like he did in 2018's opening credits.
Stop! Michael, stay back!
It was a necessary James Earl Jonesing to Tom Jones Jr.'s as David Prowse.
Michael, stop!
Louder.
Michael, stop!
As loud as you got.
Michael, stop!
Outside, the camera pulls away from a surrounded Michael in a callback to the opening of the original. It's a retro shot that perfectly pairs with our retro title card. A phenomenal update to the Halloween theme plays, featuring synthesized choral tones. This film's score was done by returning composers John Carpenter, his son Cody, and his godson Daniel Davies. As their work gives life to the opening credits, 12 jack-o'-lanterns are seen, representing the 12 movies in this franchise. A flaming pumpkin lights the way to Mick's bar, where a bunch of characters are waiting for us to re-meet them. First, Vanessa and Marcus, the couple dressed as a doctor and nurse who were seen during the last movie's awesome long one-take. Their date night is interrupted by Tommy Doyle, played by Anthony Michael Hall. Tommy's the little boy Laurie babysat in the original, though this isn't the kid who played him, because that kid didn't become an actor. The character made a cameo in Halloween 4 and was the lead protagonist in Halloween 6, where he was played by a young Paul Rudd. Rudd was actually approached to reprise the role for this movie, but he had to turn it down to do another requel, Ghostbusters Afterlife. Paul is enthusiastic and does his best with the dialogue he has to say. Tommy struggles with the trauma of his encounter with Michael Myers, and he shares that trauma with his drinking buddies. Lindsay Wallace is played by Kyle Richards, who was 9 years old when she played the character in the original.
40 years ago, you carried me.
I carried you.
No, no, you're gonna carry yourself.
Nurse Marion Chambers is played by Nancy Stevens, who also reprised the character in Halloween H2O and got killed in that alternate timeline. Finally, there's Lonnie Elam, who used to bully Tommy as a kid. He's the one who smashed his pumpkin and got scared away from the Myers house by Loomis.
Hey, Lonnie, get your ass away from there.
He also, as this movie shows, had an encounter with Michael on the night of the murders. Lonnie's played by Robert Longstreet, last seen on the kill count as a True Knot member in Dr. Sleep. Tommy gives a speech that foreshadows all the ridiculous dialogue he'll have this movie.
Who's next? Maybe not tonight, maybe not tomorrow, but the boogeyman is coming for me. But the boogeyman is coming for me,
Kaç rahat.
and he's coming for you.
He leads a toast to another survivor, his babysitter Lori, who's currently bleeding out in the back of a truck. The Strode women are right where we left them, only pissed off because they see firefighters heading towards the burning Myers tomb. She wanna let it burn, wanna let it burn. As the firefighters clear the burning house, some of the floor collapses, sending one poor soul named Benton tumbling into the basement. It's a scary situation, and it only gets worse, because there's a boogeyman in the closet, or gunlocker. That's how Michael survived, by hiding in Laurie's shrine to the Second Amendment. Michael promptly kills Benton with this pickaxe-looking thing that's apparently called the Halligan Bar. The more you know. Another firefighter reaches out to help his friend, only to be offered a firm handshake into death. Outside, the remaining crew is treated to the incredible visual of Michael Myers literally rising from the ashes. They rightfully assess that Mikey's not exactly on the up and up, so they ready their equipment and prepare to be firefighters. This guy up front tries to treat Michael like a civil rights activist, but he's quickly dispatched by a 3D head stab. Whoa! Michael then stabs 3 more firefighters, lifting one guy up in a seriously awesome wire stunt, before killing a 4th with his own circular saw. The extra 4 I'm adding to the count right now come from a group shot we see when Michael exits the building. There are 9 firefighters there, and I don't think any survive. You can also see their bodies later when the cops arrive on the scene. There's also a line from Tommy later that mentions 11 first responders dead at Laurie's compound, so I guess that figure doesn't include officers Richards and Francis, who were also found by Haddonfield PD. Of course, I already counted those 2 kills when I covered Halloween 2018. This slaughter scene featured real firefighters in the roles and was all over the movie's trailers, since it kicks a lot of ass. Rarely does Michael Myers kill people in a group like this, so stunt coordinator Aaron Armstrong had his work cut out for him, especially since this all took place in front of an actual burning building, which did not give them a lot of time to shoot.
The house within like an hour, hour 10 was down to the ground.
The amazing work here is why Halloween Kills was nominated for Best Stunts or Choreography at the first ever Dead Meat Horror Awards. Please check out that show if you haven't already. I really think it's the best thing we've
Oh,
ever
so
done on
this
this channel. Laurie, true to Halloween sequel form, is being taken to Haddonfield Memorial Hospital. Her arrival piques the attention of former sheriff turned security guard Lee Brackett, played by an 82-year-old Charles Cyphers, reprising his role from the original.
A couple of my friends were going, I can't believe it. And I said, I can't either, but here I am, you know.
A flashback of ex-Sheriff Brackett uses footage from the now non-canonical Halloween 2. Yo, if we're using Halloween 2 footage, can we get a little bit of that Ben Tramer? Thank you. It never gets old. As Laurie is taken into surgery, we finally see Karen and Allison acknowledge the death of their husband and father, Ray. Laurie's closest neighbor is Sandra, that caretaker from the last movie who spotted Michael in the graveyard. She's currently training for her drone pilot's license, and her husband Phil complains about the nearby fire.
From upstairs, it looks like they put it out. But that nutbag lives a highly flammable lifestyle.
Hey, don't talk no shit about that woman. She will fuck you up.
Sandra and Phil are great examples of minor characters who immediately make you fall in love with them. It's my favorite thing about David Gordon Green's directing and casting. It makes these scenes so much more upsetting when you know they're about to get killed. Michael appears in their home and Friday Park forces his way through the window, forcing Phil through some glass shards in a very painful affair. Sandra runs to unlock the kitchen door, but as Michael saunters into the kitchen, she instead grabs a knife and, just stands still. Lady, get the fuck out of there! Michael casually breaks a fluorescent light and stabs Sandra in the neck with it, an effect that was surprisingly hard to do.
So we had this, full prosthetic appliance with bladders underneath it and fluorescent light bulbs out of plastic that retracted that had a little gun shooting thing in it.
An injured Phil is dragged away, and as Sandra bleeds out in the kitchen, we see an out-of-focus Michael
Like I
using
said, guys.
Phil to test the effectiveness
Now guys, it's gonna all-out war against Michael. We'll see what happens.
up in the parking lot when they're joined by the rest of the 1978 crew, as well as Marcus and Vanessa, who, turns out, are dressed ironically.
I'm a doctor, my husband's a nurse.
Both of you are fine. As Tommy rallies the troops and workshops more catchphrases, keep your eyes open. Eyes open. Lindsay and the three nurses patrol the neighborhood in her car. She gets out to approach some Season of the Witch trick-or-treaters. Not sure if they're supposed to be the same kids we saw in the last movie, but I love their performances in this one. They are perfect little shitbirds.
And like, there's a creepy man in a white mask, and he keeps like trying to play hide and seek with us, and he keeps taking them out.
Michael Myers reappears to teach them some respect and to add a kill to the count. Their friend Dennis will be killed off screen. Yeah, get that silver sham fuck out of this continuity. With the youngsters running off to bed, Michael decides to go old school, climbing on top of the car and attacking Nurse Marion Chambers in a direct callback to their first encounter in the original. Her poor gun safety is almost as dangerous as Michael himself, so Vanessa dips out of that situation, taking the other handgun with her. Michael drops down from the roof, and Marion's erratic shooting ruins her big moment.
Hey, Michael! This is for Dr. Loomis.
With the ammo spent, Michael makes like it's H2O and kills Nurse Marion Chambers, stabbing her to death in the passenger seat. Marcus tries to strangle the shape with his stethoscope, but he gets a gnarly knife stab in the eye. To accomplish this effect, the filmmakers used a classic gag. The actors simply played the stab out backwards, and the footage was played in reverse. An appliance with a half blade attached was used, with the rest of the blade added digitally. Vanessa starts firing her gun at Michael, which, like, where were you two kill graphics ago? But when she gets a little too close, this happens.
Creamy, crunchy.
Like I said, just content in the ads. For a few seconds of
Michael,
it.
that's a good battle for the show. I know some people laughed at this kill, but I actually felt really bad for Vanessa. Actress Carmela McNeil didn't seem to mind that.
Everyone's apologizing every die. Like, I'm so sorry you guys died. Like, man, I'd rather die by Michael Myers than anybody else.
Lindsay comes in with a bag of bricks instead of candy, but quickly finds herself outmatched. She runs away and Michael marches slowly and steadily after her. Thankfully, he has the same weaknesses as a Black Rider, and Lindsay is able to avoid him by hiding and waiting for Strider. At the hospital, Officer Hawkins is wheeled into Laurie's room, giving us a combo that elucidates their romantic history, which was hinted towards in the last movie. They mentioned that they once kissed, but nothing more, since Laurie had eyes for someone else.
Ben Tramer.
And even though Ben Tramer is best known as a burning corpse in Halloween 2, this line is still a reference to the original film, where he was mentioned as a guy Laurie was into.
I'd rather go with Ben Tramer. Ben Tramer? I knew it!
Allison is with Cameron and Lonnie when they run into Tommy, who's discovered Lindsay's blood-stained car. The adults find the bodies of their nurse friends, allowing Robert Longstreet to show off his acting chops.
He did this. Oh, God, Marion.
telling of the fog.
That's the kind of work that makes him a Mike Flanagan regular. Allison discovers an injured but still breathing Lindsay, so Tommy takes her to the hospital, where she's wheeled away to storage until they can take her out again for the next film. With the police department overwhelmed by the scope of Michael's killing spree, Tommy encourages the crowd to take matters into their own hands.
This ends when Michael is dead. Michael Myers will be executed tonight, and it will not go without witness.
Okay, Tomster, you got a good platform, but you're really gonna need an effective catchphrase.
Evil dies tonight.
Oh, okay. Bracket, wanna co-sign that slogan?
Evil dies tonight.
I think we have a winner. Emboldened by the support, Tommy breaks into Laurie's hospital room, which is how she finally learns that Michael Myers is still alive. Though Karen begs her to
Back in
stay
a
put,
second.
Laurie shoves her aside and uses some
Wish I
pain
didn't
meds to
see that.
juice up her butt.
Bye. But the gay Google tweet and I guess I understand it.
Loving couple whose gayness is incidental, not the entirety of who they are. But they are played by two actors who I believe are straight, like me. So, not my place to say those criticisms are wrong. What I can say is that they've been drinking from the Haddonfield dummy water supply, as they split up to search their house separately. Big John goes to Judith Myers' old room and checks for the boogeyman beneath the bed. But the boogeyman is standing right behind you, motherfucker! Michael the Mountain spins Big John around and freaking gouges his eyeballs out with his thumbs. It's a horrifically gory kill, accomplished beautifully with this practical head. Looks like Scott MacArthur was happy to swap out with the dummy.
That's fucking terrifying. Look at that.
When Little John comes upstairs, he pays the killer reverence.
You've come home.
And then apparently just fucking stands there as Michael approaches and kills him off screen. Pretty dumb. Laurie and Karen realize the mob's going after an innocent man, but it's too late. People are already knocking over equipment and doing stunt falls down the stairs. Even the doctors are getting involved. Whatever happened to do no harm, brah? The knee splits Laurie's stitches open, sending her back to her bed for the rest of the movie. Why do we have that butt jabbing scene then? Man, Laurie in the hospital is my least favorite flavor of Halloween movie. It sucks. Karen manages to track down Tivoli and offer him some comfort, then tries to protect him by putting him in a hallway and locking the doors at both ends. Instead of staying inside there with him, though, and explaining to the mob what's going on, she steps outside and gets overcome by the horde while meekly trying to get her point across. A frightened Tivoli sees the crowd breaking in, so he makes his way through a window and leaps from the building, splattering next to the spectators below. It's a non-Michael death that's also one of the most graphic in the movie. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't do shit for this guy. This is a sad death, but I'm mad that it could have been more emotional if it made more sense.
How do we know it's not him?
Fucking look at him, dude! Back in Laurie's hospital room, Hawkins blames himself for the night's events. That's because in 1978, he felt so guilty after accidentally killing his partner, he stopped Dr. Loomis from executing Michael in the street. Afterwards, Hawkins' boss covered up his friendly fire with a thematic reprimand.
Just because your intentions are good doesn't mean things always work out.
In 2018, ex-Sheriff Brackett echoes that sentiment.
Now he's turning us into monsters.
For any faults this movie has, its flashbacks to 1978 look great, and that's a result of so many crew members putting in a lot of work. To match the original film stylistically, they used fewer camera movements and edited the segments at a slower pace. Director of photography Michael Simmons even reached out to the original film cinematographer Dean Cundy for advice on how to emulate the same lighting style. Costume designer Emily Gunshaw recreated the cop uniforms from the original film, down to the flare of their pants. And makeup artist Christopher Nelson led the effort to recreate the original 1978 Myers mask, poring over every detail down to the fibers of the hair.
There's a little air bubble in the corner of the mouth. There's the way the eyes are shaded on the inside and not the outside. There's the way there's dirt on the nose. Even some people are like, Chris, there's like a piece of hair swirl sticking up there. Could you mat that down? I'm like, no. That has to be there. If it's not there, it's not the 78 shape.
Karen is pissed at Tommy for riling up a mob that killed an innocent man, but then she kind of talks herself out of it.
The final battle, I won't pause after this, guys.
After Lonnie, the two find the body of Little John, who's been stabbed with both big and little knife. Big John's here too, and Michael's laid out their bodies in a way that recreates a picture they had together. That's nice. While Allison arms herself with more crime scene evidence, Cameron wanders off and finds his dad's body hanging out in the attic. How'd Michael get him up there so fast? Cameron could ask Michael himself, but before he gets an answer, he gets a stab to the gut. Oh shit! Allison shows up and gets a few good licks in before Michael tosses her down the stairs, breaking her leg. In a painful-looking ordeal, Michael forces an injured Cameron through the banister before jerking his head all over the place. He doesn't stop until he's a drooly mess, then finishes him off with a final neck snap. Brutal! Michael descends the stairs to confront Allison. Despite her best efforts, he quickly has her dead to rights, leading to some defiant final words.
Do it. Do it.
Thankfully, Mama Bear Karen is here, and she's got other plans. Unfortunately, those plans don't involve double tapping him with that pitchfork. Instead, she grabs his mask and tries to lure him away from the house. How about it, Mike? Easy victim or your widow security mask? Well, killing's not the same when you don't look like bleached Bill Shatner, so off he goes towards Karen. Michael chases her onto a seemingly deserted street that ends up being a Halloween block party, with everyone invited, including this very intense extra. Oh, Casey Jones over there, and a lady with an iron? What the fuck? Even Brackett's here.
It's Halloween. Everyone's entitled to one good scare.
Nice that Cyphers got to repeat his iconic line from 40 plus years ago.
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh?
The mob finally does something useful and beats Michael to the ground, with Karen delivering a final stab to the neck. Of course, ain't no kill graphic on screen, and Laurie's got a monologue to explain why.
I always thought Michael Myers was flesh and blood, just like you and me. But a mortal man could not have survived what he's lived through. The more he kills, the more he transcends into something else, impossible to defeat.
Before Brackett can put Michael Myers down for good, he leaps into action, slashing the former sheriff's throat. In a montage that kinda looks like a Nike commercial, Michael hacks his way through the rest of the mob. No one's walking away from this intact, but I count about 5 people that I can confidently say won't be walking away at all. This guy in a great costume, and 4 other townspeople who are stabbed and slashed in the neck and back. With his teammates down, Tommy steps up to the plate, only to take an immediate stab to the chest. As Karen is lured upstairs by the ghost of little boy Michael, big boy Michael finishes Tommy off with a gushy off-screen beating. The movie ends with Karen staring out the window, unaware of the... Oh shit, oh no! Michael stabs Karen to death in the same bedroom in which he
See you guys in the
revenged
next
his first
episode.
kill.
My
Daughter and the
possess
cops
of the
just
Halloween kills.
downstairs. It's a kill so unexpected.
Next will
the whole
be
movie goes
Crash
a little
Bandicoot
psycho.
of Trilogy.